but I'm kind of trying to like use my several experiences and my knowledge as a as kind of a voice for the voiceless in regards to being high functioning and being able to properly communicate what people in the spectrum may go through. As I got older and I grew up a bit or whatever physically, um, I noticed that I started to have certain like run-ins with law enforcement, and because I had a communication disability, it was really hard for me to properly like verbally express at the time how I was feeling or whatever my situation was. I've so when the police officers when the police officers jumped out of the car, they had their guns pointed at us and they were telling us to like get down on the ground and to drop our weapons and whatever, etc. And in that moment, I never I never came across a moment like that, so I didn't know how to react in that moment. Like even going through my head, like knowing like how my mom told me to prepare to react in situations like this, I didn't know what to do, and I just froze, and I couldn't speak, I couldn't talk. I was like I was standing still. I heard everything they were saying, but I could not communicate at all about anything. And my best friend, who at the time I think I was a lot more um, communicated than me, being in the military, he was like calmly, powerfully communicating with them that they're not real, whatever, et cetera, et cetera. They did have doubts, so we ended up uh, not arrested, like detained, I guess, like handcuffed, laying in a like grassy, dirty area or whatever. And during that time, he expressed that he was in the military, and he urged them to like check his ID in his back pocket, whatever. And after that, they the officers didn't let us go and apologize or whatever. But in that moment, I realized that I if I didn't have Joseph, I don't know what would have happened, and I put it on myself for not being able to effectively communicate. And at that time, I knew I was high functioning, and so from that point on, I kind of just had like a guilty conscience, and I was constantly thinking about people who were on the spectrum who did not know how to speak up for themselves. I was parked next to my buddy's house in Canyon Prussia, and it was about I think it was about 1 o'clock, or no, it was like 2:30 a.m. We just came back from watching like Star Wars at midnight or something like that, and we were talking about the movie in the car, and a police officer pulled up behind us, and she jumped out and she approached the driver's side. I was driving, and she didn't have her gun drawn or anything, but the light was like surprising to me, and I couldn't see, so I think my words were a little delayed after a while when she was questioning me, and I was trying to tell her that she was asking questions, and I think at that point I was just doing my absolute best to just answer them like the most direct way possible. So when she asked, "What are you doing? What are you doing here?" I think I replied like I'm sitting here, or I'm sitting, and the, the conversation.
And she thought you were being a smart guy.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was like and then after a few words, I understood like, oh wait, she thinks I'm being sarcastic. I need to change. And my buddy who was next to me said, I live here. This is my house. And then she didn't notice him before, but she put her flashlight on. She said, oh okay, and she let us go or whatever. Um, Aside from that, I've also had uh, run-ins with police in regards to traffic stops and traffic violations where I immediately kind of wanted to tell them I was on the spectrum, but I also am very, very, very private about it to a degree. Um, I
Besides
guess not
you
so much.
spilling your guts to a complete stranger right now,
Yeah,
besides that part?
yeah, only because like yeah, even though I know I mean now I have to be an advocate. I understand that now, but like there was a certain point in my young life where I didn't want to tell people because I felt like people would look at me as intellectually inferior.